Hello, and welcome to Around the Political World with John Rothman. I am John Rothman, and I'm delighted to be with you on this historic day. If you're a fan of the show, make sure to hit the follow button on the top right of Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you are listening at this very moment. When you hit follow, leave a review or share an episode with a friend. It helps other people discover the show, keeps us going, and as I like to remind you each and every day, it expands our base. The Supreme Court has ruled 6-3 that a president has some immunity. That, by the way, is not a particular surprise. The question now is, will Donald Trump be held accountable for actions taken on January 6th or inactions taken on January 6th? Did Donald Trump actually support insurrection? That is a decision which will still have to be decided by the courts. From Donald Trump's point of view, this decision is a good thing. It relieves the pressure. There will not be an immediate trial. It may even be that there will be no trial at all, at least not before the election. And if Donald Trump is elected president on November 5th, it is clear that this case will be dead. Let me just offer this personal reflection. It is a 6-3 decision, conservatives versus liberals. It saves Donald Trump, at least for the time being. But I must tell you, I believe it is a sad day for American justice. Donald Trump should be held accountable for what he did or did not do on January 6th. There is no doubt in my mind that the precedent set in the United States versus Richard Nixon, where Warren Burger, the then Chief Justice, said if a criminal action is involved, a president should not have immunity and does not have immunity. That, to me, is the key. So we are now going to have to watch and see whether or not this goes back to a lower court, what the full impact of the decision will be. Like all of you, I will be listening to analysis all day. Frankly, it seemed to me very clear. The Supreme Court, in the interest of justice and American democracy, should have decided that the issue of Donald Trump's immunity for actions taken on January 6th there should have been no question. It should have been a slam dunk that no president is above the law. There is an ambiguity now, an ambiguity that, frankly, on the eve of July 4th, reminds me how precious American independence is, but it also reminds me how clearly it is that who is president of the United States matters. Who sits on the Supreme Court? The 6-3 decision shows that Donald Trump made the decisions which have caused the conservative majority to prevail. His nominations made that majority real. And now the question is, what will the American people do in November? Now, let me make a quick comment about the debate on Friday. I was away on Friday and did not have an opportunity to offer my observations about the debate which took place on Thursday night. Joe Biden clearly lost. He lost in so many ways. But it's also clear to me that Joe Biden, if he chooses to, will be the Democratic nominee for president of the United States. The delegates are pledged to Joe Biden by law. And unless he releases them, he will be the nominee. The question we have to ask is that a good thing or a bad thing? And the answer is, one debate does not determine the outcome of an election. I remember how happy Walter Mondale was in 1984 after the first debate. He had clearly defeated Ronald Reagan. Reagan, if you remember, in his closing statement, wandered all over the place. It was almost incoherent. And people thought Walter Mondale had a real shot. Well, Walter Mondale did not. And Ronald Reagan came back in the second debate or joint appearance and made clear with a comment, my opponent's age, his youth, and inexperience should not be held against him. And everybody laughed, including Walter Mondale. In this situation, it's no laughing matter. The Democrats have a serious question ahead. And Joe Biden is going to have to spend a lot of time rebuilding those fences. But unless he releases his delegates, he will be the nominee. And that means there'll be more attention focused on Kamala Harris. Because if something happens to Joe Biden, she will be the president of the United States. Let me also suggest to you that the odds that there will be an open Democratic convention, well, I don't think they're real at all. If, for some reason, Joe Biden bowed out, he would release his delegates, but most assuredly would endorse Kamala Harris for the presidency. And that, of course, would mean the Democratic Party would certainly, in my judgment today, go along. Joe Biden is still the most formidable candidate the Democrats have. If he were younger, there would be no question about his ability to carry on his duties as president. But let there be no mistake. Joe Biden is now an issue in this campaign. But what should have been the issue was not Joe Biden, but Donald Trump, who lied repeatedly, more than 30 established lies during the course of that appearance with Joe Biden, a man who clearly has contempt for the American Constitution and the law. It is a serious conundrum for the American people. The polls will now indicate that Donald Trump is ahead. No surprise there. But we have a long way to go until November 5th. And during that time, the Democrats will have to establish, clearly, their support for Biden, and Biden will have to establish his competence to the American people. Joe Biden did say something that intrigued me. He said that if, in fact, the polls indicate that he would be a drag on the Democratic ticket, that he would not then necessarily run for another term. Let's see what the polls show. But let's remember that to give up the power of the presidency is a very tough thing to do. And for Donald Trump, the pursuit of the presidency is an imperative. His legal problems are truly over if he wins the November election. Question becomes, how will history judge the American people if Donald Trump gets away without any accountability? I'm John Rothman. I want to thank you for tuning into another episode of Around the Political World. Make sure to follow along. Let me know your thoughts on the show by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts and sharing an episode with a friend or colleague so we can continue to grow and expand. This is an interesting day. There'll be a lot to say about this decision, a lot to say about what Joe Biden is going to do, and frankly, I can't wait for the days ahead. I am John Rothman. I want to say a special thanks to Gogo Zoger, who is the producer of this program and who does such a great job. Gogo, I don't care what the American people say, you have my vote. Full confidence, no question. See you tomorrow.